Hey, what's going on, everybody? KD here, and welcome back to the fifth official episode of the King Darius Experience. I'm going to hop right into the content today, no introduction. So, we are going to be talking specifically about real time content and why that's important for your business. So, the process of creating experiential content in real time. And then I'm going to explain how I'm building infrastructure around experiential content in the end here and how that's formed and made up. So, the reason that real time content is the most powerful form of content is sort of like a twofold or a two-layered effect, which I'm going to get to here in a second. So when you're creating real-time content, and what that means is essentially, capturing, documenting, writing, recording, doing things and creating content around the things that are actually happening now is because the current version of what you're doing is the best version of what you're doing. And you don't want to have a culmination of a life full of half-baked experiences that also become apparent in the content or the things that you're trying to create attention around, right? So if you're never fully here in this moment, right? Coming into this week, I had a lot of things to focus on in the business, knowing that I still wanted to work on the business. But when I'm trying to accomplish something, I try to make sure that I do in some sort of sense put blinders on, so that way I'm not thinking about what happened before or what's coming after, and I can be fully present, fully mindful in my real time doing and creation of a thing. Our director of media, Nick, always talks about how the industry says, document versus create, which, I mean, there's a few people who say that, going unnamed. And then there's a lot of people in the film industry who value quality over, scrappiness and social content, all that kind of stuff. But I think there's definitely very similar to when we were talking about rhythm and balance and ebbing and flowing, that it's both. And Nick says this all the time, that it's documenting and creating, it's creating and documenting, it's low level scrappy content and high quality pre-produced, pre-recorded, pre-planned, a lot of effort put into style of content, because at the end of the day, you cannot fake your talent. You cannot fake your creative process. You cannot fake if you actually know what you're talking about, if you're helping people or giving value with the content that you're putting forth. And this is the beautiful part about real-time content, because it gives you the freedom to be exactly who you are and nothing more, nothing less. So it breeds authenticity, it breeds transparency, and it helps you overcome something that I believe a lot of creators get stuck in at some point in their career, whether they work for somebody else, they partially work for themselves, they have side hustles, whatever it is that you're doing, it helps you become your own mouthpiece. And the power of that is, at some point you need attention around something that you're doing, right? So we often have to rely on social media and advertising and third party, websites or influencers, both on a micro and macro level. Nope. And we have to rely on those things because we ourselves are not our own mouthpieces. We cannot, talk about, evangelize, amplify, put gasoline on the things that we're also creating. So a lot of creators get stuck in a process or a cyclical environment of struggling after creating a thing, because there's no distribution to that thing. There's no placement and positioning of that thing. And when there is, there's not a consistent flow of that. So even within the process of doing King Darius Experience and creating an editorial for the Sacred Network and trying to gather a few people, I'm trying to keep us in this place of experiential content, because the way that people consume content will forever change. And even within the ecosystem of the people who follow you and your audiences and your brand advocates, you will find very quickly that everybody consumes content differently. Even in the short period of time over the last 4 to 6 weeks that we've really been ramping up efforts for Sacred Global, I've already noticed the different channeling in which people find out about what we're doing. And some of it results in, cash and sales. Some of it results in attention. Some of it results in, questions and engagement and conversation, but it all results in something coming from different channels. Some people find my music first and have already reached out for client work. Some people just, search for client work and then they find out about everything else, from health to music to, everything we're doing to awaken and empower creators. Some people have found me specifically through the podcast and then learned about other content. And literally some people have just read content and then reversed the other way. So there's so many ways, even in your smallest forms, even when you only have, 10 people, 50 people, let alone tens of thousands of people or multiple platforms. So knowing this, you have to create a system or a container rather around you that keeps you in frame of real-time content. Doesn't matter form, doesn't matter quality, doesn't matter type, as long as it's real time, as long as it's relevant, as long as it's contextual to the things that are actually happening in and around what you're doing. Because the only time you get all other forms of just negative type of content, when I say negative type of content, I'm talking about, clickbait content or bait and switch content, or only opinionated content, or heavily biased content, is when that content is not real time and contextual to the creator or the brand in which it's being presented. So it's trying to pull from other sources, curate, regurgitate things that are not tried and true, that are not formed and birthed out of practicing a thing, or being in the trenches of a thing, or being on the ground level, or being a doer of a thing. So you being a creator, you have the most beautiful opportunity to always push out real-time content, because as long as you are making and doing and creating, you will never run out of things to create around. And I understand that there are very real things in regards to creative block, or writer's block, or filming, or everybody has their own version of block, right? When you're a creator. But at the end of the day, those things will come and go, right? To use a an age-old I guess parable, if you will, this too shall pass. These things will go away. The pandemic will go away. What you're struggling with will go away. The bills that maybe you can't afford will not go away, but the not being able to afford them will at some point. You will have stability, you will have normalcy. Things that are negative or potential fires, regardless of size, will eventually burn out, fizzle out, or be put out by somebody, even if that someone is you. So knowing that, how do you do both things? How do you work in your business and work on your business? How do you work in your creations and work on your creations? It's in and of at the same time, in and of, because you can't just do, right? We know that just doing does not work. You can't just think. We know that just thinking doesn't work. You can't just create. We know that just creating doesn't work. It's a culmination of all of those things. And knowing that you will never stop doing, you never stop making, as long as you operate in this world, in the systems of this world, you will never have things that you're not doing and working towards. So as long as the trajectory of your life, especially on a professional level, is going towards the things that you love in life, then you should always be able to do real-time content around the things you're doing at all quality levels and in all forms and types of content and media. So that's my message to you guys today. I hope that experiential content and real-time content can change the way that you look at social media, the way that you look at content, your ideas, your innovations and creations. And let me know on all platforms, Twitter, TikTok, Instagram, Facebook, LinkedIn, Hail King Darius. Reach out to me, ask questions if you want, dive deeper, let me know what your favorite parts were. Like I said yesterday, this is going to be a daily occurrence because it's very important to me to do experiential real-time content and be the nucleus in the center around the things that we atomize, for the things that I care about and for the things that our team cares about. And I'm going to infuse this thing into all aspects of my business, and hopefully some of this will help you as well. Look at my wrist, yeah, it's popping. Took the whole family shopping. Funny that you always flexing. Just saw your car at the auction. Niggas on IG be stalking. All these girls, too many options. Act like I don't hear you talking.